Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, it's loud. You can hear me now, I hope. And welcome to our monthly member series. Today is my pleasure to introduce Ned and Suzie Allen. A little background on this amazing couple. Ned and Suzie Allen are known as the power couple of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They both grew up in Dayton, Ohio, and both graduated from Oakwood High School in 1959. Ned attended Cornell University. Suzie went to Northwestern University, School of Human Ecology. They were married on September 14th, 1959. They have 2 sons. Both have been members of the National Board of Make-A-Wish, and they have co-chaired a major gift initiative for the organization. They have been a couple for a very long time, 58 years. Ned spent a successful career, first as a restaurant person, and second creating retirement communities. On November 4th, Suzie and Ned received the Make-A-Wish Foundation's highest honor. They were awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award for their 3 decades of service to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We are now going to see a video from Richard Davis, the CEO of Make-A-Wish organization, and let's welcome Ned and Suzie.
We provided transformational support for the organization, not once or twice, but on a continual and sustained basis. The winners of this award have not just been a part of our history, but through their support, they've actually helped shape our history. Put simply, this is one of the highest honors that we have, and the first ever winners of this award could not be more deserving. They are a true Make-A-Wish power couple. Ned and Suzie Allen began supporting Make-A-Wish America back in 2001. Their services spanned 20 years of incredible support for the mission. Ned and Suzie have served on the National Board and have served on numerous board committees. Suzie founded the National Board Alumni Association, and Ned formed the National Advisory Council to help develop national connections for the entire enterprise. Suzie participated in multiple fundraising trainings for chapters, and Ned and Suzie were featured as major gift case studies to help chapters with fundraising development. Ned and Suzie worked tirelessly to help the local chapter when many years ago, Hope Stout made her wish to raise enough money to grant all the wishes waived. Ned honored Suzie by creating a Volunteer of the Year Award, which honors a volunteer every year and provides the funds to grant one wish for the chapter of the honoree. Today, their support continues as they still speak to groups in the South Carolina area about the power of a wish. It's an honor and a privilege to celebrate Ned and Suzie Allen as our first ever Lifetime Achievement Award winners for their long-standing commitment and dedication to this organization. Congratulations. Let's hear from Ned and Suzie.
There you go.
Thank you, Richard, for your kind words and for this very prestigious award. Thanks also to the entire Make-A-Wish family for your help, love, and dedication to this fantastic mission. As significant as the honor is for us, I can tell you for certain the greatest reward that exists at Make-A-Wish is the joy and hope we all experience when a courageous child and their family experience a heartfelt wish. That moment is the most thrilling experience of a lifetime. Thank you so much for allowing us to participate in these events. Suzie?
Thank you, Ned. Our 3 decades of wish granting have dramatically changed our lives. We are extremely fortunate to be a part of this amazing mission. Thank you so much for this honor and for the opportunity to serve so many deserving families. Make-A-Wish, we love you.
Well, thank you, Lee. Thank you. No, it can't be.
No, it's not. Just hold it up to your ear.
Thank you, Lee. Hey, that's much better. Susie told me it would take 80 years to get somebody to say that much nice about me, but but Richard Davis has been the CEO of Make-A-Wish for about 2 years. He's a really, really nice man. He came to the organization from, he was the chairman and CEO of U.S. Bank in Minneapolis. And he came to the organization as one of the very few for-profit executives that made the transition to the not-for-profit world. And he has been an inspiration for all of us, and it was a real honor to get this award. I will tell you, as far as Richard is concerned, probably the most admirable thing about him is he donates all of his salary back to the organization. Good guy. So, what I thought we would do today is spend a little time just giving you a picture of some of the things that happen at Make-A-Wish. And we've found through the years that the best way to do that is through storytelling. And that's kind of what Make-A-Wish does, is tell stories. And we have many, many of them. Like so many you probably couldn't even understand. We have granted around the world about close to 500,000 wishes in the last 40 years. We have 60 chapters in the United States, about 30,000 volunteers in the United States, and we are operating in 50 other countries as well. And Susie and I have really, all of our efforts have been in the United States. When you get into foreign countries, we can't speak the language, and we don't understand the wishes, so it's a very interesting thing. So, but the first story I'd like to share with you is the story of the origins of Make-A-Wish. It's a very young organization. It was only started in 1980, which for a charity is pretty young. And so, Joy, if you can get ready to run. This video was produced a couple years ago by the mother of our first wish child. Her name is, what's her name, Susie? Linda Pauling. And she explains the wish, and then we'll talk about it a little bit afterwards.
Got sick, 4.5, and was diagnosed with acute leukemia. Being a small town little farm kid, and I said, okay, how do we get rid of it? Just bottom line, give me the bottom line. And he said, your son has maybe 3.5 years through medical technology. He said, maybe 35%, the very max would be 50% survival. That night I made a promise and a vow to, live a lifetime in 3 years. Bar none. When Christopher got ill for the last time, it was in mid-April 1980, I made a phone call to Tom Austin, U.S. Customs agent. He and his wife and I and Chris and their kids had been friends throughout the 3 years. And I said, Tommy, if there's any way to call in that promise, now's the time. They wanted to do something special for this little boy, to make his dream of being a police officer more real.
70-year-old Chris Gracious of Phoenix was awarded the honorary rank of patrolman in late April. Chris is a leukemia patient. He's going to be confined to a hospital soon, but he's always wanted to be a highway patrolman.
He got on the phone and called Ronnie Cox. He says, Ronnie, it's time. And Ronnie got on the phone, started calling some of his people. And a helicopter ride was arranged, and a real Ranger helicopter. It was a wonderful, wonderful day, and that was April 29th, 1980. It was an absolutely marvelous, marvelous day on May 1st also. Chris changed into his uniform. He had his helmet, his Smokey the Bear hat, full uniform. Chris strapped on his little gun and holster set, and he was ready for anything. On May 2nd, which was a Friday, he woke up and he says, "Mommy, I don't feel good." And he says, "I want to go see my doctor." So, took him to the hospital. We checked him in. He said, "Mommy, I want all my police stuff. I need my uniform, I need everything here." On Saturday morning, May 3rd, he kind of woke up, he saw his uniform, he saw all of his police things, and he said, "Mommy, Mommy, where are you?" I said, "I'm right here, sweetheart." And he says, "I love you. You better go home." Just later that night, about 7:35, he passed away.
7-year-old Chris Gracious lost his battle for life to leukemia, but the last week of his young life was a happy time for Chris, his parents, his friends, and the Department of Public Safety.
Everyone has a reason. I believe we're all put on this earth for a purpose, for a reason. And I believe Chris's reason was for this group. Tom and Ron and I stood in the middle of DPS parking lot after Christopher's first day on the 29th, and Tommy says, "We're going to do this again." It just took people caring to help make this little wish come true. It just started like a snowball going down the hill, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Everybody wanted in on it. They just wanted to do something to make this little boy happy. And I think that is so wonderful, because that's what Make-A-Wish is. It gave me strength, hope, and joy because there was people that cared. There were people that came into my life that said, "Hey, everything's going to be all right. It will be okay." For Make-A-Wish to come in and say, "You deserve a wish. There's no worries, there's no stress whatsoever." And they come back just elated, just so happy with smiles, giggles, laughter, memories that carry on forever. Those last forever. There are nice things that happen in this world. There are good people out there that just want to help. And when I was tucking him into bed, he went to sleep with a badge in his hand. And I tucked him, kissed him goodnight, and he says, "Mommy," he says, "make me a real cop?" I said, "Yes, it does." I said, "It's official. That to me, you're always going to be a trooper." I believe this was Christopher's purpose. And he felt me worthy enough to keep carrying that torch. And I'm still kicking, so yes, I will do it until the day he calls me home.
And she does. Suzie and I have been on a number of programs with Linda. She's as dedicated to Make-A-Wish today as she was back in 1980. And I see. Well, I knew I had to dance.
I don't think there's any way that any of us.
Sorry.
It's okay.
That's okay, it was fun.
So anyhow, the other story that we get asked a lot of times is, how did we get involved with Make-A-Wish, and what was it that prompted us to get so involved? And it is unusual in the not-for-profit world for couples to work on the same project. And so that in itself made it kind of unusual for us. And then we both became very, very dedicated to the mission. And Suzie is going to tell you why. Just another story.
Okay.
Thank you, dear.
Yes.
Take this away from you.
Oh,
Undress him.
Yeah. And I'm going to clip it to you.
I don't look that good anymore.
No. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now you're on.
And I can just talk into
Yep,
this?
yep.
Okay, so you want me to talk about Chip?
Yes, please.
We had a little grandson named Chip Allen. And Chip was a little go-getter. He was really fun, and we enjoyed him very much. He was the middle child. There was an older brother and a younger sister, and he was the baby. We all loved him. He would run around, he would play, he was happy all the time. It was really a fun child to have with you. And then he got a little bit more anxious and a little bit more curious as to what was going on. And his mom couldn't find him one day and was looking. She had been out in the kitchen and doing all this stuff. Was that when Jack had his school? Hank. Okay. So she was running with the older kids, and she came into the room where the older boys were playing in the closet, the toy closet. They said, where's Chip? And they said, oh, he's in there. Don't worry about it. He's in there. So she said, okay. So she went back to get cleaned up. She was going to go somewhere. And she came back, where's Chip? He's in the closet. No Chip. They thought, uh-oh. So she started looking. And she went out to the main living room and noticed that the sliding glass door from the living room out to the screened-in porch was open. Hello? Was that me?
It's okay.
Okay. The door was open. And she sort of went out on the porch, and then she looked, and the screen door from the porch to the patio was wide open, and it was blocked by something. She realized that that was the day that the carpet cleaners were coming to clean the screened-in porch rug. She had taken the boys to where? To the play school, and she came back, and she put the boys back in their closets so they play, and she ran to the bathroom and to get cleaned up and all. Still hadn't found Chip. So she thought, you know what, this is not right. So she went back out on the porch, went out to the pool, and there was Chip floating in the pool. He was gone. It was a horrible accident. It just happened. I don't know why the guys that were doing the carpet didn't have more thinking in their heads. But Chip did not survive, and the little guy here in the middle is Chip. He was a tiger, and we all miss him dearly. So, can you see it? You want me to pick it up?
Well, it'll be there. You can see it afterwards.
Yeah, it'll be right there. It's just the kids. I couldn't find a place to hang it in here, so we just put it there. I was going to put it in front of the screen, but that wouldn't work. So that's sort of the end of the Chip story. Do you want to go from there?
Well, I would tell you that the whole thing didn't really hit me until about a week later when our son John is a real geek guru. He did work at that time for Apple Computer, and he now works for Google. And he put together the obituary for Chip and put a photo of him in the paper that was crystal clear, which so many obituaries aren't. And on that Sunday morning, I opened the paper and saw that picture, and
I don't tell too many stories because I tear up, so you'll just have to bear with me. I get used to it, but most people don't. So anyhow, I opened the paper and I looked at Chip's picture, and basically we were asked by Make-A-Wish to raise money. And I can remember looking at the picture all by myself, and I said, I will raise $100 million for Make-A-Wish, period. And that was in 2003, and we're pretty close. We've participated in a lot of fundraisers, and I can pretty much account for over $100 million where we've been present. And oh, by the way, Susie, we were married in 1963. That's why the numbers didn't work out. We have been married 58 years. So anyhow, that was it was really the motivating force that said, we'll do this for this kid, so he'll always be remembered. He now has a nice endowment at Make-A-Wish. We're granting wishes every year for kids. And it's my belief that when Susie and I die, which isn't going to be all that long from now, that endowment will probably grant one wish a month in perpetuity. And I'm pretty proud of that. Susie is too. But it's been hard work, but it's been a tremendous amount of fun. And before Susie starts her next story, I want to explain something to you. In wish granting, we have a number of things that the kids wish for. We will grant wishes to kids between the age of 2.5 and 17 years of age. That's it. The only qualification is they must have a serious life-threatening illness. There's no financial ups or downs. We don't discriminate in any way. If the kid is sick, we grant a wish. It usually goes to everybody that's a member of the household. So each wish, no matter what it is, has about 4.5 participants average per wish. But the reason I bring that up now is the most difficult wishes for us are celebrity wishes. We do quite a bit with Mickey Mouse, as you can imagine. But the Disney company builds Mickey Mouses in the basement somewhere. And so if somebody wants to meet Mickey Mouse or Cinderella or Buzz Lightyear or any of the 10,000 Disney characters, we can usually find 2, 4, 6 of them somewhere. But the celebrities become much more difficult. And we have a lot of celebrity wishes. As a matter of fact, we have our headquarters are in Phoenix. We have a department of celebrity wishes. It consists of about 7 people who have contacts, and well, nobody has Rolodexes anymore. They have several thousand pieces of contact data on celebrities around the world and around the nation. So the celebrity thing is very difficult. Sometimes a celebrity can't do a wish because of other commitments. They're making movies, they're making records, they're on tour. And so sometimes celebrity wishes they're always difficult because there's only one. and we can't get away with substituting somebody else. So anyhow, what Susie wants to tell you is about one particular celebrity who, unfortunately, she met me before she met him, or she'd be married to him, but so don't let me hold you up.
Switch you again.
think his name, has anybody ever heard of the name John Cena?
No, yes?
I didn't think you had.
Show you a picture.
We're going to show you a picture of him right now. He's cute. I'm in love. I'm in love.
In your past lives, do you remember a wrestler by the name of Hulk Hogan? Well, John Cena is Hulk Hogan today.
Times 10. Yeah.
Needless to say, she's in love with him, and he's pretty much in love with her too. So, go ahead, Susie.
Can I tell him about the chair?
You could tell him anything you want.
Well,
We've been married long enough to know better. That's the way to answer it.
okay. It got out around Make-A-Wish that I was really fascinated with John Cena. He's a good-looking guy. He's as sweet as he can be. He loves these kids. And they love him. He's a big hero. And we got together at a brunch one day, and he was sitting there. He came in.
It was the first time we had met him.
That's right. We were in where? Atlanta, somewhere, having breakfast, and he came to join us. He was very shy, very quiet. He came in, and he was huge. I mean, he was this big. And he sat down beside me. And first of all, I was standing looking at him and realized I was staring straight at his belly button because he was so tall. So I sat down and started talking, and he was, very, very shy. But he just come to this meeting that we were having, and he was hungry. It was early in the morning, and the waitress came and said, Mr. Cena, would you like to order some breakfast? And he said, yeah, I would. Let me see here. Where's my menu? I'll have, hang on, I've lost it. 1 dozen eggs, scrambled, a pound of bacon, crispy, and a loaf of bread, just toasted right. And I said, are you sure? He said, oh yeah, I'm really hungry. So I put my hand on his arm and I went like that because it was like wires underneath that skin. He was so strong. And I'm just sitting there, oh, this is really nice. This is great. This is fun. Anyway, we got to be good friends, and it got around Make-A-Wish that Susie was enamored with John Cena. And everybody would, joke about it.
I never understood why.
Well, I've told you, but that's okay. They have those cut-out cardboards, and every time I'd see one, I'd go up and pose with it and have my picture taken. And it became quite a deal. Well, Ned went out to Arizona to have a meeting with some of the Make-A-Wish people.
Susie, you
Yes.
want to finish up the story about the breakfast, and then we went to the Coliseum with them.
Oh, okay, yes. All right, this was a big, big show. It's called WrestleMania. I don't know if any of you have heard about it. Okay. And he said, you guys are going to be here, right? Let me take you over to the Coliseum, and I'll introduce you to all these wrestlers and all the, what do you call them? They're having fun. And so we went over, and there were some kids in wheelchairs or walking with their parents. Those little kids about this high knew every single one of the wrestlers' names, and they'd look up and, oh, I love you. And the wrestler would go, okay, yeah, you're a nice boy, or whatever. But they fell in love with the kids, and the kids absolutely fell in love with the wrestlers. But as we kept walking through the halls in this Coliseum, I was looking around. There were Wish kids there. They were looking at the wrestlers, and it was really fun. But all of a sudden, I looked up, and there was a guy coming toward us. If we had been on the street in downtown Atlanta or wherever, I would have crossed the street, not to get near him. He was very, very frightened. But there was this little kid in a wheelchair, and he said, oh, I love you. You're one of my heroes. And the guy just stopped there and he got tears in his eyes. And he said, what? He said, you're my hero. And the guy said, well, thank you. And I was just amazed that this little boy was talking to this scary old man. But they got along fine, and it was great. I don't know, where do you want me to go from there? We stayed there for quite...
The guy's name was Thunder. He
Oh.
had tears in his eyes.
Yes, I forgot that part. The guy just was just shaking. Not the Wish kid, but the guy. He was shaking, and he had tears streaming down his face. And I said, are you okay? He said, I'm one of the bad guys. They never asked to see me. So I gave him a hug, and he walked off, and that was one of the memories that we have of that.
But the other thing, Susie, that is so sensational, John Cena, we had just met him that day. Today, he is the #1 wish granter as an individual in the world.
In the world.
He's granted over 800 wishes, and he is. Remember, these kids are between 2.5 and 17 years of age. He is, by far and above. I don't know of anybody else that's granted over 300 wishes as an individual. And they've been guys like Tom Brady and people whose names are household names. But John, and when you think about this as a volunteer, John probably spends an average of a half hour to an hour with every wish kid. Do the math, that's a lot of time. And one of the things the celebrities have said to us on and on and on, and I can remember a lot of names, people that you know their names, who said to us, when a kid's wish, he only gets one single wish in his lifetime. When his wish is to meet me, you got to do something special about it. And so it is so impactful to these people, and they are so impactful to the families of the kids. And there's just this guy is amazing, and.
Okay, I'm going to tell them the story of the chair. Okay?
You can. You might also want to tell them the story of the WrestleMania in Orlando.
Yes, well, that's sort of where the story's.
Okay.
Okay, so again, back to Make-A-Wish. They were still talking about Susie and John Cena. I couldn't get away from that. But Ned went out, as I said, to Arizona for a meeting, and was in a special room where they were all around a table, I guess, and doing whatever they do. And Ned looked over at the side of the office, and he said, you could do me a real favor if you'd send that chair to Susie. That chair was a card table chair, and it was all John Cena. The back of it was John Cena. The seat was John Cena. It was just wonderful. And they said, what do you mean? He said, well, everybody's joking about she's in love with him. Just send her the chair, let her get it. I said, and I guess they did, because Ned came home, he said, now don't worry, you're going to get a big package, but it's okay. And lo and behold, a couple days later, there was this big package out by the front door, and I unwrapped it and all, and there was John Cena, and his face was right there on the seat of that chair. And I called David Williams, who's the CEO of Make-A-Wish. And I said, that was so kind of you to send me that chair, but David, I just can't bring myself to sit on John Cena's face. And I haven't, believe me. It's in the house. You're welcome to sit there anytime you'd like. But we have a lot of fun. It's a very serious kind of organization. They do wonderful things. The volunteers, the staff, it's a family, and it's amazing. And these kids eat it up, and they blossom because of that. So we have all these stories, and this has only been a short time to put them together, but we'll keep thinking, and we'll come up with more. Your turn.
Thank you.
You want me to get laid down? Well, I got to get unwrapped.
I'm going to talk about WrestleMania.
Oh, okay. I'll sit here.
A couple of years
okay.
after Suzie and I had our initial meeting with John Cena, WrestleMania, which is like the World Series of wrestling, if there can be such a thing, was about to be presented. It's every year. This year it was going to be in Orlando. And the people at WWE, which is World Wrestling Entertainment, Vince McMahon and his wife Linda, have been just wonderful supporters, along with John and other wrestlers. And so they invited 50 Wish kids to come to Orlando with their families. Now we're talking 250 people to watch WrestleMania. And everybody knew we lived in Orlando, and so they called us up and said, "Can you help entertain these kids, these families while they're on the weekend?" And it was sure. So they come in, they all pile in on Friday, and on Saturday they had entertainment set up for all these Wish families. They took them on tours around Orlando and so on. And at about noontime, we went over to Universal Studios to one of their backstage lots, and all these 250 people came pouring in for a lunchtime. It was a buffet not to be believed. It was, go ahead.
It was kids, popcorn, peanuts, hot dogs, hamburgers, pizza, spaghetti, what else?
Macaroni and cheese, everything. It was,
hot dogs.
I mean, it was enough to make anybody sick, except.
But they loved it, and who was there?
Oh, yeah.
John Cena. He was standing outside of that area. And when they came back, the kids were in taxis and limos and all sorts of things, and they were dropped off right at the red carpet. You want me to talk about it a little bit?
Sure,
Okay.
please.
Please, okay. So we were watching, we've been there all morning, we helped to set up some of it, but not much. But we watched these kids, and there was one that caught my eye. This one car stopped, and a little guy, probably 9 or 10, got out of the car and very gingerly eased himself into a wheelchair. And he was looking down this long sidewalk, red carpet on it. And he said, "Daddy, that's John Cena." And his dad went, "Yeah, I think you're right." He said, "Daddy, I am going to walk to John Cena." And, "Oh, honey, you haven't walked for more than 2 years. That's too long. But you can't do that." I said, "Daddy, I'm going to walk to see John Cena." And with that, he very gingerly got up and slowly started walking down this carpet. And there was silence. Everybody was watching this happen. And that little guy walked down, got to John Cena, and looked at him and said, "John Cena, you're my hero." And John said, "Oh no, son, you're my hero." And there wasn't a dry eye there. And I'll never forget that incident. It was just beautiful.
You can't make this stuff up. I can't tell that story. That's all I can tell you. But anyhow, I'd like to take you one other place in Make-A-Wish that will be of great interest to you. Our second wish, after Chris Gracious and Linda Pauling's activity, was a kid from Phoenix, which is all that all this early stuff took place in Phoenix. Our second wish was a kid by the name of Bopsy Salazar. And his wish was to go to Disneyland. And he did, had a great time. Disney made a lot of effort. And ever since then, Disney has been a partner of Make-A-Wishes in ways that most people don't even understand. I particularly know Disney pretty well. Having lived in Orlando for 10 years, we saw them in operation every day. I've made business deals with the Walt Disney Company, and I can tell you it's a love-hate story for me. They are magnificent people. They do the greatest job of guest satisfaction of any company I've ever seen, but they are very tough business people. And their support of Make-A-Wish is unbelievable. Just in tickets alone, we send to Orlando Make-A-Wish about 7,000 families a year. Times 4.5, do the math. Right today, well, in the last year with the pandemic, it's been way down because of most of these kids are very tender. Their health is tender. And of course, as you know, very few kids under 17 have even been vaccinated until the last couple of months. So, but an average day before the pandemic, it was about 500 people in Central Florida every day of the year on Make-A-Wish's token. But the tickets to the attractions were all provided to us by Disney. Disney continues to support and just the value of their tickets and other amenities that they provide for the kids is about $10 million a year. And it's been going on since wish number 2. So it's 40 years, and for about 35 years, Disney didn't even talk about it. Matter of fact, we weren't allowed to talk about it. In the last couple of years, you've probably seen some things they're doing. Disney's very proud of their association with Make-A-Wish. And it's one of the reasons that Susie and I support it. I wanted to support an organization that I thought would be around a long time, would be run properly, and I can tell you what, as long as Disney's there, it will be. They're very generous, but they're also tough taskmasters. And so we're very proud to be associated with them. As a matter of fact, you may hear later on in 2022, Disney's going to christen their newest ship at Port Canaveral over here, and it's going to be the Disney Wish. So, yeah, so it's very exciting for us. Bob Chapek, who's the new Disney chairman, he replaced Bob Iger, is on the Make-A-Wish board still. Very supportive, great people. And we have others like him. I mean, this is a sponsor that's been with us for 40 years. Macy's, who you may have noticed, is always a very big supporter. They've been with us for, since Susie and I first met them about 12 years ago. Subaru, anytime you look at a Subaru, you'll see a Make-A-Wish logo come up at the front end of it. The Subaru does fundraising for us right around this time of year and raises about $2 million a year for Make-A-Wish. So we've got some great supporters, great corporate supporters, plus these celebrities that do it. But we have one more video that I want to show you, and it's kind of what I would describe as the anatomy of a wish. The young man in the video, his name is Joe Ginham. And Joe and Susie and I have been at a lot of fundraisers together. I'll tell you, after you see the video, I'll tell you a little bit about what we do. But this is Joe's story, which will just give you a taste of what Make-A-Wish does for a family.
Every parent has a dream for their child. For that child to make their way in the world, powered by love, driven by hope, and a wish for a better tomorrow.
Joe was always a great kid, you know, the only boy out of 4 children. He was always treated like the king. But he was a funny kid. He'd be getting in trouble at school for, you know, being the jokester, just happy-go-lucky. Then he found music in 6th grade, and that just became his entire life.
I found out that my grandpa used to play violin, and my grandma still had his violin, you know, put away in our house. And I liked melody better, so I switched over to violin in 7th grade, and I've been playing that ever since.
We were in the middle of a competition one time, and the judge said to us, "Who's his private teacher?" And I said, "He doesn't have one." And she said, "Oh my gosh," she said, "I never do this," but she wrote down a name and number, and she said, "This kid has so much potential, and I can't believe he's self-taught. You need to get him a real violin, and you need to get him to a real teacher, because there is just something about the passion, his technique."
I would come home from school, like 4 o'clock. I'd go into my room and practice till all hours of the night.
He would play constantly. I'd have to go into his room late at night and say, "You have school tomorrow, put the violin down, go to sleep." But he just absolutely loved it, and it loved him.
When I was just practicing, my arm would get sore. I could only play for like maybe 20, 30 minutes, and then I had to stop and take a break, and then play for another 20 or 30 minutes.
I first noticed something was wrong right when he had his 15th birthday. And I took him to the pediatrician, and she said, "Well, it's, you know, so much violin playing, it's probably just tendonitis. Just take a few weeks off, rest your arm, and you'll be fine."
But Joe was not fine. Through the course of almost a year, Joe was repeatedly misdiagnosed. Finally, a mother's love and determination prevailed.
We went to get an x-ray, and the doctors, you know, looked at it, and we heard it from the other room say, "Oh my gosh," you know, and I was like, "Mom, is that my x-ray he's looking at?"
We were in the examining room, and the surgeon, 2 oncologists, the RN, the nurse practitioner, like this whole team of people walked in, and they said, "Oh boy." They thought we knew.
Being 15 and diagnosed with cancer, you don't expect it because you hear about elderly people, you know, getting cancer. You don't think at 15 years old you're gonna get it.
And he started talking about the procedures and how for the next year and a half, Joe would be in the hospital, and I just couldn't believe, you know, I thought we were there for a broken arm.
There was that point where it wasn't completely about fighting for my arm, it was more my life.
Joe was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, a very rare and deadly form of bone cancer. Only 400 people in the United States and 700 people worldwide are diagnosed with the disease each year.
He lost every bit of hair on his body, including the hair in his nose. And it's just so weird because you always see the bald person. He has no eyelashes to catch the tears, nothing in his nose or ears.
You feel like you got hit by a truck without the bruises or the cuts. It just completely breaks you. When I was going into surgery, they didn't do anything wrong, but because my bones were so brittle and they lifted me by my arm, it just snapped in half, and it went to the side and up about 2 or 3 inches into all the muscle and everything in there.
He weighed nothing. He was gray. There were so many instances like that where he was just so close to being gone.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation has saved my life because everyone has a different wish, but it gives you something to hold on to when you don't have anything. And it gets you through the day, the hell, every day. Knowing that the next day is going to be the same thing for over a year. And having this to look forward to gave me something to hold on to, and it got me through it.
Joe's family reached out to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, who promised to help make Joe's lifelong dream come true.
He may not want to tell you, but he did ask me at one point, he said, you know, you guys could really use a vacation, and why don't we just do that for everybody? And I said, Joe, forget that. Let's just say that I could come up with a vacation for us. What is your wish really? And he said, well, you know, it really is to have the violin. And I said, that's your wish, Joe. Then don't waste it on a vacation. Do your wish.
The violin that Make-A-Wish granted me with, it's not your typical instrument. It's professional quality. I mean, it was amazing. Everything about it fit me as a person.
If people could grant wishes, you have no idea how far that wish goes and what it means. It's better than any chemo out there. It's better than any surgery. I mean, I hope no kids get cancer, but I know that that's a sad fact that they're going to. If they could have a wish to hang on to, it would just help the entire family.
Life is shorter than most people realize, and living, day to day, praying that you're going to wake up in the morning. You wake up and you go outside and realize it's a new day, and you have to start fresh.
Joe faced a long road to recovery. It was 10 months before he could even hold a pencil. Against enormous odds, Joe returned to the violin and within 4 months realized his dream by performing in front of his family and friends at the world-famous Carnegie Hall.
Suzie and I have done a lot of programs with Joe. Pardon? I know. I have 5 minutes. We've done a lot of programs with Joe, and we run this video, and I can remember one we did up on the Hudson River at one of Donald Trump's country clubs. It was a gala. There was 400 or 500 people there. We ran the video, and then immediately at the end of the video, Joe came out from behind the curtain and played about 2 minutes worth of violin, and it was pretty successful. So he's a very nice young man. He's now in his mid-20s and doing quite well. So we only have a few minutes. I know some people have reservations. We're here to take questions from you, and we may have an answer, we may not, but if there's anything you'd like to ask, please do.
My question is this a national organization, or do you also work internationally? I have never heard of it in Europe.
We have a corporation, a U.S. corporation, and we have 60 chapters around the nation that have their own, they do their own fundraising, and then we have Make-A-Wish International that operates in 50 foreign countries. And I will tell you, osteosarcoma, for those of you who don't know, is a very, very brutal disease. Susie and I, you heard Richard Davis talk about Hope Stout. That was one of our first endeavors at Make-A-Wish was, for those of you who live near here, she was a little girl in Charlotte who developed osteosarcoma in her knee. They discovered it about July, and it was around 2009 or so, and the Charlotte Panthers, is that their team, Panthers, the football team? Yeah, the Charlotte Panthers were on their way to the Super Bowl, and I was watching television, and they were interviewed her on it was early January, one of the pre-games, and I said, Susie, we got to go over and help this kid. So we didn't know any better. We just went to Charlotte and found the Make-A-Wish organization, and they were having a huge pep rally in downtown Charlotte for the Panthers to go on, and I think they finally got into the finals and so on. But we had Make-A-Wish clothes on and Make-A-Wish, and Hope Stout's wish was, she said, I don't need anything. My wish is to grant the wish of all the kids in central and western North Carolina who are waiting for a wish. There were 155 of them. And the wish granter said, that's going to cost over $1 million to do that. And she said, fine, that's okay. So raise it. So we started raising money over there, and Susie and I are walking around this. I mean, we were really new to Make-A-Wish, and we're walking around this pep rally, and the people are putting money and checks and stuff. Susie's got a box in her hand, and finally I said, we maybe want to. It was a mob scene, and I said we may want to find someplace to take this money. So I called a cop over and I said, the Make-A-Wish office was downtown, wasn't very far away. I said, would you mind walking to Susie over here and putting the money? They took the box. I mean, we'd only been there 45 minutes. It had $8,000 in it. And so Hope died, and she was diagnosed, and this is osteosarcoma. She was diagnosed in July, I think. She died like about January 1st. And she had already planned this gala celebration for late January. And even though she had just passed away, they went ahead with the celebration. And we were there that night. And they announced that as of that day, they'd raised $1,160,000 to grant all the wishes. We went back for the gala the next year, and they announced that they had granted all 155 wishes. You can't write this stuff. You can't make it up. But it's a wonderful experience. I've learned some things from it. Just lessons I'll share with you. And Joe said it on the video. Everybody we've ever talked to at Make-A-Wish has said, make every day count. It's consistent. I've talked to people with 2, 3, and even 4 wish kids. And I said, how do you do this? You make every day count, period. And so if there's been a lesson that's been so important to us, it's live each day like it's the last one in your life. Because one of those is going to come along. And the other thing is fundraising. We've raised a lot of money for Make-A-Wish, and I can tell you some secrets to fundraising, because everybody's asked to do it for your school, your church, or something. Don't be lazy about it. Go see people in person. fundraising is a relationship building. People give to people. And the next time you get a fundraising request by email, I would suggest you use the delete button. That's what I do. If you're not important enough, if your gift isn't important enough that somebody's going to come and ask you for it personally, I wouldn't bother with it. I mean, I get them from every politician right into the circular file. But those are just, I mean, we have learned a lot about people. We've met some of the most courageous people. I got one more minute, and I can tell you, in many cases, the most courageous person in that family is the wish kid. I would say more often than not, the wish kid knows what's going on, and they're the ones that hold the family together during this crisis time. A lot of those kids survive. Some of them don't, but all of them, their families will never forget the wish that they were granted. So, thanks for coming.
How you doing, man? Susie, how do they make a donation?
Oh, this was not meant to be a fundraiser, it still isn't, but we do have some materials on the table in the back if you want to take them, so.
We'd love to talk to you if you have any questions.
Yeah, we're in the book, call us, we're on the portal. Thanks for being.
Thank you very much for coming.